Today we're going to be playing the all-women deck, and you may be wondering why Tornado is in here, and it's actually in there on a technicality because storms, I guess mostly tropical storms, and hurricanes are named after women. So it's in there because it kind of qualifies, and it's also a spell that might work well with cards like Firecracker, so we're going to give this a try. And I was a bit curious as to, when I was putting this deck together, I was curious why hurricanes were named after women, so I looked a little bit into it, and apparently it was, it's something that, I don't know if it was the soldiers or the meteorologists or someone during the World War II period, they would name storms after their wives and their girlfriends who were at home, just to, I guess, remember them or differentiate them. But it was something that kind of came up during that period, and it made me laugh a little bit because it's kind of a funny thing to think about. Like, imagine getting a letter from your soldier husband who's been away, and you finally get a letter after months, after 4 months. You get a letter, you start reading, it's, dear Katrina, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of you, and, all the typical love letter stuff. And then you read down a line, and it's, I've named something in your honor that we encountered. And you're like, okay, that's romantic. And then you read again, and it's, I've named the hurricane that wiped out our entire platoon after you. I'm like, okay, a little bit less romantic, but I appreciate the thought, I guess. It was just kind of funny that they're naming these raging storms after their wives and girlfriends, but I guess it just helped them to remember it. And speaking of World War II, there's a lot of really good, a lot of my favorite books and my favorite stories are from that kind of time period. I think there's one called Three Against Hitler or something like that, where there's these Jewish boys that, I don't know if they start a revolution or they're participating in the war essentially with the resistance. But the one that is probably my most favorite that I've read quite a few times, and I think we read it as a family as well, is The Hiding Place. It was about Corrie ten Boom and her family, who essentially they hid Jews in their attic, or in a secret room that they had built during the war, and it kind of detailed their experiences and their efforts against the resistance, I guess. And it's a really good book. It essentially talks about their whole experience of being sent to a concentration camp and the things they learned there, and it's just a really good book. And we actually, I think in 2019, our family took a trip to Europe, and we actually got to see the house that she lived in, and we got to see the little secret room that was built behind the wall. And it's super cool to visit a place that you've read about or watched or seen, and just see it in person. It kind of feels surreal. So I would encourage you all to do that at some point in the future, because at first I thought, what's the importance of seeing it in person? I've already read it, I've already learned about it, but it actually is really cool going to the physical site, seeing where it physically happened. It just makes you feel a certain way. So that was the deck. Probably could have won, but I didn't play it very well. But I hope you all have a wonderful day today, and I'll see you in just a little bit.